G'day everybody, how are you going today? Absolutely ridiculously good to see you. Well, to begin with, the very first thing I want to talk about in this video is this little beauty here, the 2x teleconverter. Pretty much you're not gonna not know because it says it on 5 of the 6 sides of this box. We're going to talk about this. Pretty excited about it so far. Finally came in, took a little while. I think I was in the second batch. That's okay. That's how it works in the real world. That's why I've got my 50mm 1.2 order in very early. So I picked this up today. I was in the city. I squeezed off a few shots in between doing some picture deliveries and getting some framing done for some customer orders. So I haven't had a long play with it. Plus, you'd be very interested to know that right here, I thought we would have a go at shooting on the 14 to 24 2.8. Yes, we are. I like to try all the lenses out in the real world, and here it is being used as a studio lens. We are set at 2.8 and we are set at 24mm, 14 simply too wide. There's a lot of equipment to get through in the next month or two. And also in this video, I want to talk about this lens right here. This is the Viltrox 85mm 1.8 for Z mount. But we have seen a few third-party lenses for the Z mount. This one right here is the first that has autofocus. So this is a big deal. I want to touch on that. And it is rumored that Sigma will be getting into the Nikon Z glass game in 2021. This is very much a rumor. We've also heard a similar rumor from Tamron. Now that Nikon have actually gotten some momentum going and there is a lot more bodies out and bodies that people are in general more interested in, this is the time where these third-party manufacturers are going to get more excited about everything. We're going to talk about all of those things in this episode. All right, well, let's open it up and have a bit of a look, shall we? Yeah, so a 2x teleconverter, it's yeah, a pretty super useful thing. And got the usual paperwork, and there's that there. And the bag, not a lens cleaner. And, well, of course, because I've already taken some shots today, I wanted to sort of show it off a little bit. But here it is on the Z7 with the battery grip, with the 70 to 200. I squeezed off a few shots and I'll be showing those to you right now, plus some video. I've only used it for half an hour. It feels good, it looks good, and I've had a little bit of a look at the raw files. Everything looks really good. And obviously to have 400mm in a package this small is pretty exciting. It all fits together nicely and neatly, very, very nicely sealed and everything done. But as I said, it's a lot of money for something quite small. There it is close up. I have to say, once you have this, the battery pack, and this, yeah, it's starting to become a significant amount of camera. But it is a significant amount of camera. I mean, the fact that this is a 400mm lens, and if next year we get something that's 45 or maybe even up to 60 megapixels, then I suppose that would make it something like in DX 25 megapixels at 600mm. And that would be enough to really satiate so many circumstances. You've got, in essence, from 70 to 400 to 600 on this one lens. I think that's pretty powerful and pretty useful. Anyway, that's the teleconverter. Now, it's got some sensitive optics going on in there, and I really want to show them to you, but I'm a bit scared. This is the first teleconverter I've ever owned. So this side, the glass is right at the back there, because this is basically a type of magnifying glass, I think. And what it's doing is picking up the signal. And that there is it's a really interesting design. Got to be careful with it. Anyway, I'm going to pop that back on because that's the safest place for it to be. So let's just quickly look at some of those images and video that I've shot. We'll go through them very quickly. So here we are in Burke Street in Melbourne. We're at 400mm, then we're back to 140mm, and then we go back out to 400mm. And I think that's focusing and looking good and very stabilized. We are sitting at about 140mm here with the teleconverter on. The lane is much darker than it appears, and what's amazing here is the stabilization. This is handheld, very, very smooth. And finally, this is just showing a test focusing far to close, also handheld, but I was only at about 2 meters, 6 feet. And this is the laneway that you saw in the video. It's just drawing, we need to wait for that, but here it comes. So we can see here we are at 140mm, f9, 200th of a second, ISO 400. That's just coming together just fine. That's at 100%. You can see here it's okay. So that to me looks great. Raindrops rendered, everything rendered nicely. Perhaps it's not quite as ridiculously sharp. I will do a side-by-side test, but that looks great for a first look. Here is the boxes that we saw. Just wait for that to draw. We can see here this looks great. It's hard to tell because there's such a short depth of field. That's just this area in here. But again, this is on a 45 megapixel camera. There's enough quality there, and that background looks nice and creamy and soft to me. And we can see very little has been done to these files so far. Pretty good stuff. And you know, basically in a pouch, sort of this size, the teleconverter can fit in your bag, and you can double the throw of a 70-200. Now the 70-200 is the first and the only lens to date in the Z lineup that can use this teleconverter. I think there's going to be a number of lenses coming out next year, perhaps the 100-400, as well as the 400 prime and 600 prime. Also, I believe we'll be able to take this teleconverter. That would make sense. But I think it's a powerful, powerful tool that'll be useful for many people. Okay, let's go back to talking about this guy over here, the 85mm. Now, what's so exciting about this for Nikon Z users that like to use third-party glass because it saves them some money? Well, this is the first third-party Z mount lens which has autofocus. It'd be super exciting to be able to get my hands on one of those and see how it compared up against the 85mm 1.8S prime from Nikon. Well, guess what? This company's actually reached out to me and they're going to send me a copy. All going well, I'll be able to be testing these two lenses out side by side, perhaps say on the two Z6s, the Z6 and the Z6 II. Pretty much got the same sensor, pretty much should have the same outcomes. We can essentially do a side-by-side test with the same lens from different manufacturers. I think that's going to be super interesting, and this is just a really fantastic sign that people are looking and embracing the Z mount. So I look forward to bringing that to you later. And further to that news, as I said before, Sigma, it's a rumor, so it's rumored that Sigma are interested and are going to start giving us some lenses in 2021. Let's really hope this rumor is true. Also that Tamron are going to follow suit. We've obviously got some smaller third-party players starting, as we've just talked about with the Viltrox. If they're going to do it, I see no reason why the very reputable, well-known and loved third-party lens suppliers in Tamron and Sigma, why they would not get on board as well. From what I hear, the Z6 II, I picked up my teleconverter today. I asked the store, how are the Z6 IIs selling? They said they're selling very well. I think the Z7 IIs will sell well as well. I don't think they'll sell as many because it's much more expensive, but relative to where it fits in the market, I do believe Nikon have addressed so many issues for so many use cases. Obviously not all of them. There are obviously still people looking for a Z8, Z9 style camera, and I believe we're going to know so much about those cameras in the next 3 to 6 months. We might even have them in our hands by then. So a little bit of an exciting update on a few bits and pieces. I'm super excited to show you more about the teleconverter. I'm super excited to be experimenting with a third-party autofocus prime Z mount, native Z mount lens. That's going to be great. And it is really great news if it's true. It's a rumor right now that Sigma, probably the largest, biggest, most famous third-party manufacturer these days, sounds like they're going to get into the Z mount. All right, everybody, fabulous to see you. I'd love to know your thoughts around any or all of these things. Are you going to get a teleconverter? Perhaps you're more a 1.4 teleconverter sort of person. Does the Viltrox 85mm interest you? Well, it may well, based on what I'm able to show to you. It's certainly going to be more affordable than the Nikon version. And are you the sort of person who's going to get your Sigma and Tamron Z lenses? I mean, what's exciting about those manufacturers is they actually make different lenses a lot of the time. They don't just repeat what Canon, Sony and Nikon are doing. They actually make some different numbers, some 45s, some 65s, some interesting numbers. I mean, what was that recent zoom? Something like a 70 to 180? Interesting. And by doing that, they're able to make it lighter, cheaper, smaller. Love to hear your thoughts on all of this stuff. So good to see you. If this is your first time here, I'd love to see you again. So please subscribe. Please share, it makes us all smarter. Please like, and there is over 270 episodes that you can watch just down there right now. All right, so good to see you. I'll see you soon. This thing is pretty spectacularly epic. If you are into birding and that sort of stuff, just things long, not just birding, I mean, if you're just into things a long way away, well, with this combo, Z7 or Z7 II, because you'll be able to get that this week, I think, the 2x teleconverter and the 70 to 200, like I said, if you're happy with an almost 20 megapixel file, this combo becomes 600 mils. That's cool. All right, see ya.